Well, it would appear that Trump has had enough, and it's not just with his message that he sent late last night on Truth Social and on X to the folks over in the Middle East, but he's also revoked all military intel from Ukraine. And this morning, reports of him revoking the legal status of 250,000 Ukrainian refugees in the United States. Now, the White House has come out to temper that statement a little bit, but to me, it's pretty obvious that this was put out on purpose, and it's meant to send a message after Zelensky has basically been playing games for the past 4 or 5 days as more soldiers, more sons, more daughters lose their lives every day. Now, I understand that it feels like the United States is only applying pressure to Ukraine in this scenario, and I think that's mostly because Trump must know that Russia is willing to come to the table. Now, whether those terms are agreeable to Ukraine, I don't know what they are. But at this point, I can at least say this much. Trump is done paying for this stuff. He's even talking about removing some sanctions on Russia. He's applying pressure bigly on Ukraine to come to the table so that they can get a peaceful resolution of this. I do want to shout out, by the way, if you're Ukrainian in America or you're Russian in America, you're an American citizen, I realize that you have, complicated feelings about this. And as Americans, I care about you the same as anyone else. I just want this war over, and I hope that you'll understand that's where I'm coming from. It may feel like Ukraine is getting a raw deal, and maybe they are, but in this particular case, when the other option is hundreds of thousands of more people losing their lives, I don't know what the option is. And, I read the comments and I see a lot of people get angry when I talk about this, but I'm open to other options. But it's been years. I mean, unless you're telling me that American boots need to be on the ground, which is never going to happen, there's just not that many options. Trump reportedly to revoke legal status for 240,000 Ukrainians as the U.S. steps up deportations. President Trump's administration is planning to revoke temporary legal status for 250,000 Ukrainians who fled during the conflict with Russia, a senior Trump official and 3 sources familiar with the matter said, potentially putting them on fast track to deportation. Well, this would help Ukraine with their soldier shortage, I imagine, but I am sure this is bluster. I don't think Trump's going to deport them back to Ukraine, especially before all the illegal migrants that have been here for years. I'm fine with, putting an expiration date on their temporary citizenship kind of stuff. But go ahead and get out all those other migrants that are here first. And, from what I can tell, a lot of the Ukrainian refugees in America are working, paying taxes, a part of the system, a little bit different than those crossing our southern border and being subsidized by taxpayers indefinitely. The move is expected as early as April, which would be a stunning reversal from welcome Ukrainians received back under President Joe Biden. The planned rollback of protections for Ukrainians was underway before Trump publicly feuded with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last week. Now, the Speaker of the House, of the White House, has come out to say that this entire report is baloney sausage and that it is being, blown out of proportion because of an anonymous source. You see Caroline Levitt writing, this is more fake news from Reuters based on an anonymous source who has no idea what they're talking about. The truth, no decision has been made at the time. So if you read between the lines here, I will say it's pretty clear that Trump is at least considering it. And again, I would rather see them, rounding up the other illegals who are living off the system and who are committing crimes. And certainly if you're a Ukrainian that's committing crime, go ahead and deport them. But I wouldn't be rounding up these Ukrainians who are working here. I wouldn't be deporting them. I would hope that, you end their temporary visas here and then they go home, on their, in a reasonable time. But it seems that Trump is just flat out done with Zelensky. Americans are flat out done with Zelensky. There are videos like this saying that Zelensky has announced he will not negotiate with Russia. That's not what he's saying in this video. He's trying to appear strong, stuff like that. But, Trump announced he received a letter from Zelensky asking to come to the negotiating table again after Ukraine president was booted from the White House. President Trump announced Tuesday that he had received a letter from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asking to come to the negotiation table again after the two leaders had a major tiff at the White House that ended with no mineral deal that would create U.S.-Ukraine joint fund. Now, the mineral deal, what I thought was, there were many reports that mineral deal was basically done. That mineral deal was supposed to be announced that day at that meeting, but the whole thing fell apart. Coincidentally, after Zelensky had a clandestine meeting with Democrats, allegedly. Meanwhile, Trump's going to resurrect commercial shipbuilding, which I think is really good. You see, even the BBC writes Zelensky's conciliatory letter to Trump suggests he's out of options. Whether Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky's decision to patch up relation with the U.S. counterpart Donald Trump is wise depends on who you ask in Ukraine. A very bad decision, remarked a blogger and army serviceman, in the army, who thinks the U.S. won't help Ukraine with anything after this mineral deal is signed. Well, that's just wrong. They will. The president behaved with dignity, said former MP, not even going to try to pronounce that name, who describes Zelensky's softening as tone as apology. He just doesn't have any other options. The U.S. has cut off intelligence. Meanwhile, the U.S. is, quote, destroying world order, according to Ukraine's ambassador to the UK. Again, these people in this leadership, not the Ukrainian people, the leadership in Ukraine literally can't help themselves. The one guy was like sharing anti-Trump and anti-JD Vance memes on X. This guy's saying that the U.S. is destroying world order. Ukraine, guys, you're not really in this position to be bad-mouthing the only person who really can help you. I don't like throwing that back in their faces because Joe Biden willingly agreed to do that. And it's still my belief that the Ukrainian people were used as pawns in the Democrats' proxy war against Russia. And most people, I think, in Ukraine just think that they're fighting for their freedom and their land, which certainly they are partly. But it's my belief that the Democrats were fine to throw their bodies to the slaughter so that they could, in their minds, weaken Russia, both with sanctions and with reputation. This is not me condoning, Russia invading Ukraine. I am not a geopolitics expert, but I am an expert at business and negotiating, I believe. And I think that you're seeing a lot of bluster kind of thrown out there right now from both sides, because this is what's happening is we're negotiating in the public. We're negotiating in the public. They're negotiating in the public. Trump is dug in now that he feels like he got disrespected. You see Trump destroying world order, says Kiev as the EU meets Zelensky in a show of unity. Okay, well, the EU can take over the bill. I think most Americans would be fine with that, but we've paid enough. We've paid more than our share. Meanwhile, last night, Trump has told Hamas, "You're dead," as he warns the group, "I'm sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job in Gaza." Here again, to be ideologically consistent, if Israel is buying these weapons from us, fine. If we're donating them or if we're, giving them away to them, I don't support that either. I don't support the United States being arms dealers. That doesn't make me comfortable. But at least if they're going to do it, they should be, paid for their product. And you see here, President Trump has put out a dire threat to Hamas after the White House confirmed direct talks with the group as a part of an effort to finally secure the release of these hostages. By the way, these hostages were supposed to be released weeks ago. I think right around January 20th or right before, this ceasefire was supposed to happen and this exchange of hostages was supposed to happen. That's almost 2 months ago, and it never happened. I mean, there's a few, from what I can tell, but he tweets, "Shalom, Hamas," means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the bodies to the people you took their lives, or it's over for you. Trump wrote on Truth Social and X. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I'm sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning. Trump also told leadership of the group to leave Gaza now while you still have a chance. He added, also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful, smart future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. The difference between Trump saying this and somebody like Joe Biden's assistant tweeting it, Trump means it. You know, one of Trump's undeniable associations has always been to Israel. This is part of who Trump is. And, you know, you can like it, you can hate it, you can have no opinion on it. But when he says, I'm going to give them whatever they need, he means it. They were hosting like joint military operations yesterday, according to reports. You know, he is not screwing around. And the people in Palestine or in the Gaza Strip, yes, there are citizens there, and I don't want any more bad things to happen to them. But I don't know what the answer is. You know, a leopard can't change its spots, and it seems pretty clear that Hamas is not going to go peacefully. They're not going to release the hostages like they said. You're really pushing Trump into a situation where he has no choice whatsoever. And unfortunately for the people of Palestine, again, I don't support the war. I don't support any of that. But the reality is he's going to do what he said. He's going to make things very difficult over there. He's going to very publicly back an offensive from Israel, which I don't want. But he's going to do it. So, you know, maybe Hassan Piker can tell his buddies over there. They should probably take him seriously when he says this stuff. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it, follow or subscribe wherever you're watching it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.